Good day, Junior Techies, and welcome to this video on complete, incomplete, and codominance. This is a video in a series that deals with our understanding of genetics. Hopefully by now you've gone through your theory booklet, as a lot of the examples that we're doing here are based on what is being communicated in that theory booklet. Firstly, we're going to be looking at complete dominance. And looking at the example that was shared through the theory booklet, we'll see that we're looking at eye color as being the trait, and brown eyes is going to be crossed with blue eyes, these two being the phenotypic characteristics of the parents. You'll see that the brown eye color is a result of the heterozygous pairing, and blue eyes being the result of the homozygous recessive pairing. If we take these genotypes and we break them up into the different possible gametes, you'll see that we have the dominant allele for brown eye color present in one and a recessive in the other, for the one parent, and the other parent, it being the homozygous recessive pairing of these alleles, we'll see that the recessive allele is going to be present in both possibilities of the gametes that are formed. We place these gametes into the genetic cross, and we put together the different possible genotypic combinations for the offspring, and we're going to be seeing that there is a 50-50 in terms of the result. So there is the possibility of homozygous recessive pairing of these alleles 50% of the time, and the other 50% of the time we will find the heterozygous condition. If we take these genotypes and we write them in after the genetic cross, we'll see that there is a ratio of 2 to 2, and the phenotype is going to be 50% brown eyes and a 50% blue eyes possibility in the offspring in terms of the phenotypes of the offspring. This is the example of complete dominance. If we move on to the incomplete dominance scenario, this is the interaction between the alleles that we consider as being incomplete in their dominance. It means that in any given example, neither of the alleles that are interacting with each other on the chromosomes are actually dominant over the other. And we're going to be using the trait of how curly one's hair is. And we'll see here that the phenotypic expression for each of the parents, one is straight hair, the other one is curly hair. So if we look at the context of incomplete dominance, it means that because neither of them is dominant over the other, we have an intermediate expression of these genotypes. Here we can see that the genotypic combinations for straight hair, or the genotypic combination for straight hair, is capital S in terms of the allele, and for curly hair we've got capital C. If we break these up into the possible gametes, we see there's only one possible allele for each of the gametes, for the one parent as well as the other. So when placing this into the genetic cross, it's more about the understanding of the interaction between these alleles that is important. Our genetic cross, the theory behind it remains the same. Placing these gametes into the genetic cross and doing our genetic cross, we can see that there's 100% in terms of what the possible combinations of these alleles are going to be in the offspring. It's 100% SC. So if we look at the genotype SC and understanding that in the context of incomplete dominance, it actually means that neither S allele nor the C allele for curly hair is dominant over the other. So we have an intermediate expression in terms of the phenotype, and in this case we'll see that it is 100% wavy hair, where neither the allele for curly hair or straight hair is dominant over the other. And this is the example of incomplete dominance. Our last genetic cross example is going to be where we look at codominance between alleles. This is where each of the alleles is equally dominant. And we're going to be using the example in plants, and we're going to be looking at the color of their flowers as the trait. So if we have one plant with red flowers and one plant with white flowers, keeping in mind the context of codominance, we'll see that red flowers is a result of a homozygous dominant pairing of R allele, and in white flowers, homozygous dominant pairing of the W allele. We're using those two letters to represent the different alleles in terms of the genotype. we break these up into the possible alleles present in each of the gametes, and we place those into the genetic cross, understanding that now we are doing the genetic cross in the context of codominance, where both alleles are equally dominant. This is going to impact on how we write down the expression of the phenotype. Here we see that we have 100% combination RW, and we're going to see that what this means for our genotype and then our phenotype is that the expression in the phenotype is going to be 100% red flowers, which is one of the dominant alleles, but also we're going to see the expression of the white in the phenotype as well. So both red and white are expressed in the phenotype of the offspring. Here we can see a flower. This could be just one example how the expression in the phenotype may result. We can see that there is both red and white physically seen in the expression. We've come now to the end of the video. I want to just remind you that this is only one video in a series of videos in our understanding of genetics. So please go and access the other videos to broaden your understanding in this area.